Huh? I drank one, but I didn't drink two. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. It's your lane talk show with Coach Trish Hannah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Lane Talk Show with your girl, Coach Trish Hannah. Happy Sunday to each and every one of you. I am broadcasting live in the beautiful Nassau, Bahamas on the Star 106.5 FM dial. It's another beautiful day here in the Bahamas. Listen, I caught a flyer on my way here, y'all, but that's okay. Yeah, what did I say? Flyer. I got a flat. Thank you, Tony. Thank God for Tony, y'all. Tony's back. Last week we missed him. He's back. I caught a flat tire. Oh my gosh. On my way here, but thank God my husband came to my rescue. And I am just happy to be here. God is good. I implore you to make this an opportunity for you to tag as many people as you possibly can for those who are watching on Facebook, and to call a friend, someone you know who may be experiencing breast cancer or had overcome that breast cancer, someone who was impacted or infected at some point with breast cancer, to give them a call, give them a shout, tell them to tune in to Star 106.5 FM to hear what we have to offer today. If you are joining me for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. Your Lane Talk Show is about educating, empowering, and encouraging women of all ages. And this month, we have been focusing on building and restoring healthy marriages. Last week, we had 3 men who served in marriage ministries as our guest panelists on the topic, Teach Me How to Love Him. It was so enlightening, y'all. They shared all the well, I think they saved some. They shared some of their secrets. They ain't gonna tell us all. They are not gonna tell us all. But guess what? It was so good. Time ran out that we decided to do a part 2. So there's a part 2 coming up. And so listen out and tune into that. Oh, I have to tell y'all, most men, the 3 that were here in particular, love feet. So go get your pedicures this week. If your feet crusty, let me tell you when your feet crusty, when you could rub them together and you say, ouch, or when you rub them across your sheet and the sheet go, you need to go get your feet done. Get a nice pedicure. All right, so this is the last day in October. It would be remiss of me to end a women's talk show without doing my part to honor breast cancer awareness. If you're tuning in today, maybe you or someone you know may be experiencing it. And so please, let them know that they need to tune in, because every giveaway today is for you. Every single giveaway is for you. And just before I start the show, I just want to take a minute. I want to dedicate a few seconds of the show just to pause and reflect on our loved ones who would have journeyed on as a result of breast cancer. May their soul rest in peace. So, Your Lane, episode 27, Overcome Breast Cancer as a Wife, is brought to you by Airborne Freight and Cargo Services. Tomorrow's the final day for you to pick up your packages wearing something pink. If your daughter has a pink bow in their hair, take it off, put it on your head, and Mr. Brown will give you 20% automatically off your shipping fee. I promise you. John's Shoe Store and Accessories, Lowe's Wholesale, Girls Will Be Girls, Your Lane Life Coaching, Carlia Alashante, Le Chic Boutique, Family Medicine Center, which is also the last day for you to go and check your babies, ladies. They're doing a special on 3D mammograms. But like I said, even if tomorrow is the last day for their special, we still are advising you to please go and get a checkup. And we're also being brought to you by Keto Cafe by Healthy Concepts. Get everything keto at Keto Cafe by Healthy Concepts. Keto meal prep is done by the week. Full week, which is 10 meals and 4 snacks, is for $215 for the week. And if you pay monthly, you save 10% on the total cost. Keto Cafe serves lunch only at this time, but you can get 5 meals for just $150. All right. Lunch meals have larger portions of protein. This is what you need, right? For more information, contact 815-4357. That's 815-4357, or you can visit their Facebook page at Keto Cafe by Healthy Concepts. My predictions. My predictions for today. I would say 80% serious aha moments, 0% laughter. I don't know. Maybe my guess may be a little comical today. 20% teardrops. I just have a feeling someone somewhere can cry, but that's okay because crying is a part of our emotions. We do it all the time, and it's perfectly normal. You can view Your Lane Talk Show on Facebook on Your Lane Life Coaching's page or Star 106 FM's Facebook page, or you can listen to us on channel 976 on cable. You can view the past shows on YouTube. Just look up Coach Trish Hanna. From there, you will view all of our rebroadcasts. Please, please, please like and subscribe. Head on down to Lowe's and enter to win one of three $75 Lowe's Pharmacy gift certificates for Aveeno products. Go to their Facebook page, Lowe's Pharmacy, and find out how you can enter to win. Now, let's bring in our guests. Our first guest for today is a native of the Bahamas, Dr. Ebbie Jackson. She is an optometrist by profession. She has been practicing for the past 30 years in Miami, Florida, and Nassau, Bahamas. She has operated Palmdale Vision Center for the past 28 years and worked in public health for 12 years as a pediatric optometrist. She is a member of the American Academy of Optometry, a past president of the Optometric Association of the Bahamas, a former educator with the Ministry of Education, a wife, a mother, a marathon runner, musician, a world traveler, an overcomer from breast cancer, an author, but most importantly, she says, a believer in Jesus Christ. She is married to Mr. Theodore Jackson Sr., and they are the proud parents of one son, Theodore Jr. Our second guest. At the age of 37, Tia Baruti was diagnosed with one of the rarest and most challenging forms of cancer, breast cancer, HER2 or HER2, right? Human epidermal growth factor receptor 2 positive. Baruti, a natural born optimist, found herself in an unusual spot. Her agile body couldn't get out of bed, and her fit physique was hidden under excess weight. Joining the ranks of more than 3 million American women with a history of breast cancer was not a badge of honor this retired military veteran wanted. As an experienced dancer, gymnast, and track star, Tia knew her body well. In fact, in her military training, she was known to keep up with colleagues 10 years her junior. Wow. This mother, wife, and soldier knew she could catch anything thrown her way. But when a routine doctor's visit turned her world upside down, she knew God had a different plan for her life. Lord, I thank you for bringing these ladies here today on this show. Welcome, Tia. Welcome, Dr. Ebbie.
Thank you, Trish. Good evening, Bahamas, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Woo, now I'm already filled. Y'all didn't even start yet. Just reading your bios. I mean, the first thing I would want to ask, I've already found out from Tia that she was diagnosed at the age of 37. Let me ask Dr. Abby, at what age were you diagnosed with breast cancer?
45 going on 46.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And you would think, because persons usually say, especially at 37, people usually say, oh, when you're in your 30s, you're not supposed to, you don't have to check your breasts, at this point. You don't have to get a mammogram. You don't have to just wait until you like in your mid 40s, early 50s to get these things done. But I'm noticing now that breast cancer is coming among us, especially as Black women, younger and younger. The age is like decreasing. So we can't even say, oh, you have to wait until a certain age anymore.
No, it's always been around us. In fact, I've had several cousins who passed away at 35.
Oh, my.
So if they died at 35, chances are cells were growing probably 10 years earlier.
Oh, my.
However, women are not encouraged to be screened
Mhm.
until after 40 because I went for my first mammogram at 35, knowing my family history. And the doctor said, no, you're too young to be exposed to
Mm.
radiation. So, yeah.
Wow. Oh, so Tia, let me ask you, did you experience, because you said you were just so, you were a gymnast, you were in the military, you knew your body. So were there any symptoms at all prior to your diagnosis?
It was at 35, I found my lump. And as being a healthy person, and in the military, you have to get yearly, checkups on a regular basis.
Hmm.
I informed my doctor, and it was pretty much overlooked, as she said, due to age. But just alone in 2017, about 4% of invasive breast cancer cases were missed because of they were under the age of 40. So after I went through my journey, I started researching and learning. A lot of people, especially in our culture, don't have an understanding of their family history, or their genes, and unfortunately, health wise, may not take as better care of themselves as they should.
Hmm.
But for me, like I said, I found the lump, and I actually um, did 2 ultrasounds and 2 mammograms, and it was still missed.
Wow. Wow.
She sounds similar to mine. I was doing mammograms consistently from I started at age 40, and they were all coming back normal. However, I found that I had a 10 centimeters tumor, and it was not picked up by a mammogram. It was picked up with an MRI and an ultrasound. And I'm doing my self breast examinations, but it depends on where the cancer is growing, and
Hmm.
that's why.
Hmm.
In my case, it was in the lobules. And when you look at a grape, um, you see the stems and you see the grapes coming off.
Hmm.
Most persons who can detect it or feel a lump or something, it's normally in the grape part of the breast
Mm.
tissues. Mine was, however, growing inside the long lobules of the grape. And so that is hard to be detected via self examinations and even a mammogram.
And wow. And like for Tia, you said you had a rare case. This is HER2. Is that how you pronounce it, or is it
Yes,
HER2? Can you
it's
tell
her
us a
too.
little bit about what that is and why is it so
So
rare?
so HER2 is a growth promoting protein on the outside of all the breast cells. So the breast cancer cells with higher than normal levels of HER2 are called HER2 positive. These cancers tend to grow and spread faster than other breast cancers.
Mhm.
And for me, I had a 7 centimeter tumor necrosis on the right side, and a 2 centimeter um, tumor right above it on the same side.
Mhm.
Um, in her case, mine is similar. I was HER2 positive also.
Mhm.
However,
Mhm.
the good thing about being HER2 positive, I remembered when I went and after the biopsy, my oncologist said to me, listen, we need to know the type cancer it is because at that time, and that would have been 12 years ago,
Mhm.
she said, if it's this type of cancer, we don't really have many drugs to treat
Mm-hmm.
you. She
Mm.
said, but if you are HER2, we have drugs for you. So being HER2 is really a plus in one sense because at that time, research was available with drugs that can treat HER2 positive women.
Mhm.
Now, HER2 negative women, and we have a lot of these women in our country, triple negative women.
Mhm.
Back in at that time, there was no treatment for these women, and my doctor said to me, "Only God could help you if you're negative."
Mhm.
However, there are lots of more drugs available now for triple negative women, and they're living longer lives as a result of it. And so you have to thank God in each case.
Yeah, no matter what. So you said that you have family history, Dr. Abby. But Tia, have you had anyone in your family who has had breast cancer, a history of breast cancer?
I actually did. I found out after, um, actually later during my journey, I found out that my mother's mother had breast cancer and actually died from breast cancer. And further down the line, my mother's mother had cancer. It's just I was the only one for the past 3 generations that ended up with breast cancer or cancer, period.
So, ladies, can you share how did you share the news with your husband and the rest of your family? Dr. Abby, you can go first.
When, for me, I didn't feel any lump or anything. I'm a marathon runner training for my first marathon. So all I felt was a bearing down. And I'm getting ready for my first marathon. So I said, maybe my uterus is dropping on my wombs because I'm feeling this bearing down. I'm getting ready for a race. By the end of that year, which would have been 2009, I said, let me go and see my doctor to find out if I could run this marathon. Went and saw her, and she said, listen, I think your wombs are dropping. You may have to have a hysterectomy. I said, what? So from there, I said, well, what do I need to do? She said, you need to do some scans. I said, fine, let's get it done. I did it that afternoon, saw the radiologist. She said, no, your uterus is not dropping. You're fine. I don't know why they said that, but okay, fine. By the end of December, going into January, I started having difficulty raising my right hand. And knowing my family history, in my mind, I'm hoping this is inflammation, but I'm saying, Lord, I hope it's not breast cancer. So at that point, I was gripped with fear because now, how am I going to deal with this if it is? And I really didn't say anything to anyone for a while. It was not that in my office, a patient kind of dear friend of mine, she recognized that, hey, something ain't right. And she asked me, and I guess I just needed somebody to say something. And I said, listen, this is what I'm experiencing. And so she helped me say, let's call the doctor. And I called, and they sent me, of course, to do the test. And that's when I found out. And, I said, I have to tell my husband. And of course, he was shocked, but yet not, because knowing the family history, my mom had succumbed to it like about 28 years previous. And he said, well, whatever it is, we need to deal with it. And we gotta do what we have to do. But in my family, up to that point, no one had survived breast cancer. Therefore, it was a nervous time for everyone. Yeah,
I can imagine. So he was shocked, but he kept it together.
He was like, what do we need to do? And then I told him we were going for the marathon the end of that month. A dear friend of mine said, listen, while you're here, get a second opinion. We went to the doctor that Friday, and normally I would go and do all my business and do everything. And I said I was going to plan that appointment at the end of Friday. And no, the Holy Spirit just said to me, listen, make that your first appointment, make that first thing. Went that Friday morning, my husband and I, we went into the office. The doctor examined me afterwards. He asked, what did they say in Nassau? And at that time, they said to me, I needed to have surgery. And I told him, he said, surgery? He said, if anyone were to cut into your body right now, it would be like pouring gasoline on a fire.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's when my husband and that's when I really let loose at that point, because it really hit me now that this is really serious. So my husband was there. He was there.
I want to pause there. And I know you're not going to talk too much about this, but when you, in Nassau, a doctor stated that you needed surgery, but you went abroad to do something, to do a marathon, but you decided to get a second opinion over there. And the doctor that was over there abroad said, listen, if you would have done surgery and took the advice from the doctor here, it would have been like pouring gasoline on a fire. Woo, child.
See, you have to keep in mind here the treatment of choice or the operate was you cut.
Right.
You cut. medicine had advanced at that point, and then depending on the size and all the different things that were involved. And remember now, by this time, a lot of women had done well with breast cancer treatment here in the Bahamas.
Mhm.
So I was going to stay here, mind you, and start the process here. But that was just God leading. That's all I can say,
Mm.
because I am grateful and thankful today.
That's all. I've heard some stories. Trust me, I've heard some stories, but I'm gonna leave it there. When the right time comes, the persons who told me those stories are gonna come back and say some stuff. Now, Tia, can you talk to me? Talk to us about how you shared the news with your husband and the rest of your family, and how did they react? How did they respond to that?
So interestingly enough, the whole reason I went to the doctor was because my husband needed to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I scheduled an appointment for him to go and myself to go, even though I had already went. And so I told him, I'm like, you need to do your blood work. You need to, do everything. So we're just going to go together. And we actually rewind. We were in Germany. We weren't in the U.S. I had just had my daughter not too long. She was 16 months at the time. And so I went and did my blood work. He went, and his doctor, when he got his results, his doctor told him, whatever you're doing a great job. And my husband goes, well, that's my wife. She makes me take vitamins. She makes me do this. And so my results came back, and she was like, you're doing, you're perfectly fine. You're more healthier than some of the 20-year-olds that come in here. Do you have any questions or concerns? And I remembered the lump. And so I said, yeah, I have this lump in my right breast. It's been there for 2 years. I've done mammograms, I've done ultrasounds, and they keep telling me, oh, don't worry about it. It's probably scar tissue because I was a right-hand shooter. But it's just, it's kind of aching a little bit. And I breastfed. So she referred me to the doctor at the German hospital. I went there, and she did an ultrasound, looked at the screen, and it was the most coldest like situation. Like, she was like, you have cancer. And I was like, huh? And she was like, you see, and I remember this because she said, you see these white dots on this ultrasound, those are calcifications. And I remembered the report from the year prior saying calcifications, but I didn't know what that meant. So I just let it be. And she said, calcifications means your body is trying to fight something. And this line, that's the wall of your tumor. And she said, we need to do a biopsy immediately. And so I said, okay, well, let's do what we got to do. And I was there with a friend, and I went home. And I told my husband, I said, the doctor he said, well, how'd your doctor appointment go? He's expecting, as all my other doctor's appointments are great. And I said, well, they told me I had cancer. And he was angry. He got very angry.
Wow.
And he said, why would they tell you that? And they didn't do any tests. And you have to understand the reason for his response. His father died of cancer in 2014, and his aunt died of cancer in 2012. So he was all cancered out. He didn't want to hear his wife. We had just recently moved the year prior to Germany. He just had a baby. He wasn't trying to hear, that's what was going on. So he took it pretty rough. My daughter, he told me I shouldn't tell her, but that's my daughter. So I know my daughter and what she can take and her views, So she came home, and I informed her, and she was like, well, Mom, are you going to be okay? And I said, God told me I am. So I just wanted to let you know, to prepare you for, this journey. And she said, well, if you said and God said you're going to be fine, then you're going to be fine.
Wow. Wow. And how old was your daughter when you told her this?
16. She was 16. 16 months.
Marvelous. Marvelous. Listen, we're gonna take a
Interesting.
break. We're gonna take a break right here. But guess what? I want to do my first giveaway today is for anyone that can prove that they have done a breast exam this month, a mammogram, something, whatever. Even and the proof is just a receipt or something from any. Doesn't have to be family medicine center, but it'll be a bonus if it is. But just a proof to say that you've gotten your breast exam to this month in the month of October. All right, do that. And I want to give you, courtesy of Airborne Freight and Cargo Services, a $20 gas voucher. Not only will you get that, that's the first person. If we have a second person that calls as well, you will be given a Lowe's wholesale giveaway gift basket. Okay, giveaway bag rather. 328-8164. Give us a call. You get a $20. The first person to call, $20 gas voucher. The second person that calls, a Lowe's wholesale gift bag. All right. 328-8164. Yes, you gotta call in. You gotta show me some proof. But that's obviously when I give you the actual gift. I want to see a little receipt. I love Tony. Yeah, I want to see a little receipt to say that yes, I got my breast exam. This is the receipt from it, or this is the results. I want to see the date. All right, for this month, the month of October. All right, stay tuned. Ladies, you are marvelous. Thank you so much for that first segment. Hello, hello, hello to my Facebook audience. God bless you, Tanya, Bridget, Nadia, Deanne. Welcome, 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 everyone. Thank you for tuning in on Your Lane Talk Show. Like I said, today we are focusing on just giving away things. If you know someone who is presently experiencing breast cancer, who has overcome breast cancer, let them tune into the show because we want to celebrate life. Just because you are an overcomer, just because you are overcoming, we want to give something away to you. Okay, so we're on a break now. Tia, I don't know if anyone on
Hmm?
here would like to post some questions. Just let me know. Post questions to Dr. Abby or to Tia, our guest. If you have any questions online, go ahead and you can share them. Excuse me. Dr. Abby, I'm gonna send you. Tia, I sent the link to your messenger as well. Okay, the
Okay.
actual show link for anyone who would want to watch it. Tony, I am hot. The light. There you go. Pardon? That's the day. That's the one. That's fine. What? What? They was he just doing? Well, for the past couple shows, they've been winning up. Yes. Last week I've been sending all kind of stuff. All kind of stuff. We ran out of time giving out stuff. I had to do some on Facebook. You got it, Tia?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. How you feel? Good?
Hmm.
Okay.
She said something about her child. I need to say something about my son
Sure.
at that point because that was interesting
Okay.
what she said.
Sure. 1 year from last radiation. Woo-hoo-hoo! Blessings, blessings. Citra. Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining me, we are in studio talking to two beautiful women who are breast cancer survivors, and they're sharing their stories. They are enlightening us about what their particular cancer or what the cancer that they had were, what it's all about, educating us about that. And the name of the show is Overcoming Breast Cancer as a Wife. So we're getting deep down as we're taking our time, as we get to the wifey stories, because there's some good wifey stories. But we want to talk about the family at large now. Before we went on a break, we asked our guest from Chicago, Illinois, how did her husband react when she told him the news? And, according to Tia, she said that he was a bit angry. At first, he was all cans out. She was able to tell her first daughter, because I think she has two, right? Tia, you have two.
Correct.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
two daughters. So her older daughter, she explained, and her daughter, she told her daughter, "Hey, God said I'm gonna be okay." And so Tia's daughter, at the age of 14 at that time,
15.
15 at the time, said, "If God says you're gonna be okay, then you're gonna
16.
be okay." At 16, if God said that you're gonna be okay, you're gonna be okay. What marvelous faith! And now, Dr. Abby wants to share how did you tell your son? And how old was he when you told him?
Listening to Tia, I smiled. My son was 14 at that time,
Mhm,
and he never met my mom because she had already passed.
mhm.
He knew, we talked about family members with cancer. However, when my time came along, and I remember that afternoon when he came from school, my husband and I, we said we were going to tell him. Called him in the room. He was standing at the edge of the bed. And I told him, we got the results back. It is cancer, and I have to do treatment. Now, when we first mentioned it to him, he didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So the second time, we're telling him because it's now confirmed, and he's standing at the edge of the bed, and he's just looking at me like this. And I said, son, you're not saying anything. And he looked at me and he said, Mommy, I have prepared myself for the worst.
Oh.
And that cut me like a knife, you know. At that point, it was, Lord, help me to go through this because I have one son, one child, and he was my concern more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wanted to live to see him finish high school, go on with his life, and so today, yes, we celebrate milestones.
Okay. All right. That's what's important. All right. We have someone on Facebook that says, I am celebrating 1 year from last radiation. Continue to celebrate life.
Woo!
Amen. I mean,
Mhm.
someone says, please get the number again. Where you been? 3288164, 3288164. Man, we got so much giveaways. It's like we moving on to the next one. But don't worry, I'm gonna make sure you're straight. Okay, so how supportive were your friends? T, I read your book. So I'm asking you questions like I've never asked or don't know anything about it, but I want you to be real. These friends who you had prior to this, and where are they now?
So at that time, I'm a very social person, a social butterfly, as my husband would say. And at that time, I had a group of about 10 females. And every month we would go and, do something because we're in a different country, military spouses. I myself was a veteran. Um, and so we're going to these different events. And coincidentally enough, I'm a spoken word artist as well. And there was this event that a lady named Mary Sunshine, who became my angel, my sister, um, her and her husband did this event once a month. And we that was the last event we went to pretty much together, because after that is when I found out I had breast cancer. And the first person who I was so close to, I would do her daughter's hair. I would take, her daughter to cheerleading practice, anything she needed because she was a single parent. And I was a single parent before. So I knew, you need a support system, especially in another country. I was there and, for everyone else. But when it was time, the first, I'd say, month, they started breaking off.
Mm.
Um, I was always a strong person. So the excuses were they didn't know how to be strong for me. Um, but thank God, the people that I did meet, as in Mary Sunshine, who became my sister, who was there when they did the biopsy and literally held my hand, and Cece, um, and Sade, who's another friend that I still talk to, and Christy. So it's about 4 people who, were there, but of the 10 plus, yeah, they fell off by the wayside, and it was very difficult for me to be in another country, go through that, only have my husband and my 2 daughters, and even adding myself to certain groups on Facebook to try to get support or try to understand, am I the only one feeling this way? And seeing them have their family and all these, celebrations that they were, having, and it was just me. I felt like it was just me. So yeah, I didn't have the support that I would have liked, but I had what I needed.
That's
And I
important.
feel like if I would have had more, then I wouldn't have gotten as close as I did to God.
That's powerful. Dr. Abby, what about you and friendship support?
And mine was totally opposite. I remembered after I was diagnosed and I was getting ready to travel to the US for my procedures, I told them I needed to tell my church because I'm actively involved in my church. I have a business. I said, I want to tell them because I need everybody praying for me.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I want to tell this story so when you hear it, you didn't have to sip or, you hearing it from me. Now you know how to pray. Okay. One of the pastors at my church said, "You sure you want to do that?" I said, "Yes." When they allowed me to speak that Sunday, it was so quiet you could almost hear a pin because everyone was like, and they know me, I'm the strong one, always. But my church, my family, my wider community, I'm involved in missions. So people all over the world, once they heard, they were there, they were praying, they were whatever they could have done. They did. One sister said to me, "Listen, we don't pray for you so much until the Lord will be tired of hearing your name and
Oh,
he will have to do
Mm.
something on your behalf." But no, I had all the support I needed and more. So that really, really made a big difference in my healing process and recovery.
I love it. Let's be a little bit more transparent with our emotions here, going through all of this. I know you talk about God a lot, but was there at any point where you were like, you know what, just is there a God? Does God really exist? This is what I'm going. Were you ever angry at life? Were you? Can we be real? Let me ask Tia first because I heard her laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Tia.
So, speaking back on my sister Mary, she used to tell me I did not have to be the face of cancer.
Mm.
And that's because I believe in positivity and manifesting, and energies. And so I was always happy. I was always smiling. I was always transparent. And if I didn't feel well, I didn't feel well. And I would speak on it. I didn't feel well. But it would always be a but I'm alive. But I would always end it with a positive thing. And so she said, T, one day you're going to be tired and you're going to be angry with God. And that's when you're going to get, your breakthrough. That's when it'll become real. And I remember, sorry if I get emotional, but I
That's okay.
remember um, I was so strong, and I was diagnosed in October 18th. which is just interestingly enough, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I went through, and I had very long hair. And for Black women, our hair, is our crown. And I purposely like scheduled an appointment when nobody would be in the salon. And I went through that, no problem. I went through, I had to stop breastfeeding, went through that, no problem. But I went through my first couple treatments and it kicked my butt, but I was still okay. The first breakdown was when I went to my appointment, because you have to get blood work every time before you do your chemo to make sure your white blood cells counts are okay. And so I couldn't really walk. I was like, if you think of an older woman just like shuffling, I was literally shuffling. And my doctor at that time, she pulled me in her office and she sat me down and she said, she looked at me, she held my hand, she said, "How are you?" And I just broke down. And I was like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I can't pick up my daughter. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't do anything. And I'm tired. And I feel like I've depleted everything in me to just try to hold on. And I was supposed to have 4 monthly chemo treatments. And that week, then that it was either that following day or that Friday, because it used to be on Fridays because my husband had to take off, leave work early. And she said, you're not taking that treatment. If you take that treatment, you're not going to make it. And so I didn't do my last monthly chemo treatment. And because of that, my body was able to heal a little bit. And we flew to London. And New Year, I watched the fireworks. And I walked so much. Like I walked so much because I started feeling like myself. But yeah, that was the first breakdown when she asked me if I was okay, because everybody assumed I was fine because I was smiling and I was posting positive, posts on Facebook, and I was taking the phone calls, and I was praying for everybody else, but I couldn't put the mask on that day.
You had a moment.
I could.
Wow. Was that your only moment?
No, there was my daughter, my baby girl, had gotten sick, and as you know, or listeners, when someone is going through cancer treatments, because I went from monthly and I did 12 weekly chemo treatments on top of I had to do Herceptin treatments once a month, so I did dual treatments for 13 months, but there was a virus that came in our home. And I was doing my what I could, my household duties, and I was running my daughter around. And I remember we got home and I opened the door and I just puked, and it just wouldn't stop. And so she helped me up the stairs, and my husband came home and he was just so burnt out, and he was just like, just lay down, you'll be okay, you'll be fine. And I remember I crawled, because it was 3 stories. So I was on the 3rd floor. He helped me and everybody else was downstairs. And I crawled but they didn't know I was doing this. I crawled to the bathroom and I was just heaving. Just nothing was coming up. And I just laid on the floor and I just was like, okay, I'm done. Like, they'll be fine. Like my oldest will teach my youngest what I taught her. Like I'm done. Like, it's just that this is it. This is all. I don't want to live anymore. This is not how anyone should feel, should live, should experience. And they didn't even know that. But maybe about 30 minutes later, my husband came upstairs and they rushed me to the hospital. And that was my daughter's 18th birthday. Yeah, 18th birthday, the week of birthday. That's why I was trying not to say anything. So it was her 18th birthday. And I was in the hospital when she became a woman.
What about you, doctor? Was there any moments where you questioned God or felt angry in any way?
As I look back over my journey, the Lord was preparing me the year before. I didn't understand as I'm reading my Bible, things I'm reading, and so on. So when the time came, it's like, oh, this is what it was. However,
Sorry, in your book, I think he was teaching you about trust.
yeah,
Yes.
trust me, trust me,
Yes.
trust me. That
Yes.
was the whole year before.
Yes.
I didn't understand what this trust is all about.
Mhm.
So when 2010 came and I got my diagnosis, keep in mind now, I had 4 surgeries in 1 year. I had treatment for TB because my situation was so aggressive. They were moving quickly with me. So I didn't have time to say why or what or whatever. I mean, I was just preparing myself from one thing to the next. Now, hearing of my first chemo treatment, the doctor said to my husband, Mr. Jackson, in 5 days, your wife is going to be like this. She said, you're going to have to cook, you're going to have to clean, you're going to have to. And she went down the list. And sure enough, we came home the third day or the third day after treatment. When I got in that airport in Miami to try to travel, I was literally on the floor. When the flight came, because it was late, so it never got there until about 11:30 or so that night.
Sorry.
My cousin, who was a flight attendant at that time, she saw me and she said, "What happened?" I told her. She said, "Oh, we need to order a wheelchair for you." I said, "No, no, 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 no." I said, "You can't because I just left here. If I come back in the wheelchair and the people see me, they're going to say, oh my goodness, she's on the way out." So my pride had me at that point. But I ran a marathon 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after I could not walk. Therefore, so the process was bit by bit. But for me, no, I just saw God moving and working because I remember waiting for the call to hear what type cancer it was. And when she said, if it's this, only God. If it's that, at least we have some drugs to help you. And it was only God who helped me in any event. But when I remember waiting for that phone call, and I was in a parking lot, my husband had gone in the store. And when the phone rang and I saw her number, my heart was like racing, bracing for whatever this is. And when she said, my dear, your results look good. Come in, we're going to start chemo tomorrow. And that was just like one thing, knowing that, hey, the Lord is reassuring me, trust me. After the mastectomy, then this mass growing on my lung. And one thing after the other, that's when I really got frazzled because she was trying to find me and she couldn't until a couple of days before the surgery. And she's like, listen, your results came back. There's this huge mass on your lung. We have to stop surgery. And she running on. And I'm like, wait. So I had to go outside of her office, calm myself with the Lord's help, and then, okay, go back in. So, no, he was preparing me before, and he was walking with me.
So you were
through the
strong the
process.
entire time, the entire
Yeah,
process.
I don't remember saying having a crisis or breaking
Wow.
down. I was just like, Lord, whatever your plan and will is, help me to accept it and walk in it.
We're gonna take a break, and I'm glad that I'm grateful that you stood there and you trusted him, and I'm grateful that he prepared you the year before. That's powerful right there. We're gonna take a break, but I want to do a giveaway. So on this break, we're gonna have somebody call in, and can I get a wife who is presently battling breast cancer to call the show? I want to give you a $50 gift certificate courtesy of Le Chic Boutique. That certificate can go towards a nice outfit for your next outing, whatever event that you may have. Courtesy of, like I said, Le Chic Boutique. Le Chic Boutique is located in Gary's Plaza, Robinson Road. You can visit their Instagram page at Le Chic _boutique _LCB. You can give them a call at 525-2810. So the number to call here is 328-8164. If you are presently battling breast cancer, we want to reward you or bless you with a $50 gift certificate. Yes, God is definitely a healer. Ladies, God is a healer. Someone said, good evening, ladies. Hi, Mom. Yuli Ward.
That's my daughter.
Oh, I see Tia talking.
That's my daughter.
That's your daughter. Hi, Yuli. You're so strong for your mommy. And that is wonderful. That is wonderful. Yeah, so ladies, I don't know if there's anything else you want to share as we're on this break. Anything you want to say on the live while we're on the break from the radio, but we're not breaking from the Facebook, right? So we
Oh,
can.
Just
Mm-hmm.
just to reassure our women, though, every day someone is being diagnosed here in the Bahamas, and I'm sure worldwide. Breast cancer may seem like it's rampant here because we have a smaller pool and so many persons we know being diagnosed, but it's a worldwide disease.
Yes.
But we have to be proactive. I know
Yes.
of many women who fought and they didn't, the Lord took them home. He has plans for all of us.
Right.
But in the midst of it, trust Him because that's all you have to depend on
Mm-hmm.
when you're getting these diagnoses, the chemo treatments, radiation, whatever. You need him. You need your husband's support if you're married. I know of many who husbands walked away,
Walked away. Yeah.
mhm.
family, whatever. But it really is a support system that's
Mm-hmm.
needed and necessary.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Now this we want the
Yeah, just
takeaways at the end. Now I just want to say if you just want to share anything right now, you can go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I do think it's important for people to have a faith walk when they're going through any storm, whether it be cancer or anything that they're going through. Um, you have to put on the full armor of God, because
Hmm.
if you try to attack something with just your will, it's not as strong. But if you have the backing of God and you use His word to triumph, that you're going to win regardless.
Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now we're getting when we come back onto our break, we want to talk more about now the bedroom and sexual intimacy. All right, we're gonna get into that. So
About
intimacy in the
oh,
bedroom. You okay
hmm
with that, Dr. Abby? Because she's
yeah,
so
yeah.
reserved. She's like, "Oh,
No,
that.
I didn't hear what you said,
Yes, and yeah, I want you to
and
be
that's
real.
important.
That's important because there's some
Yeah.
things that you won't hear on regular shows or when persons talk publicly, and you could understand
Hmm.
why, for
Hmm.
whatever reason. But we want to be as real as possible. Um, when I thought about this particular show, I was like, God, how do I get women who may feel as if they're the only ones going through it to say, oh my gosh, she knows what I'm talking about. She's been there, and for those who've been there and overcome, you know, that's reassuring that if she made it, I can make it too.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's the purpose of today's show, and I know that persons are going to be blessed by your transparency today. Let me know when you're ready, Tony. One more commercial, okay? So to my Facebook audience, yes, you could call in 3288164 if you have gotten taken a breast exam. You were still open to call in if you want to 3288164. If you can give me some proof, some receipt, something to say yes, I did a test this month, and the gift certificate will be yours. You got a $20 gift voucher as well as a Lowe's wholesale gift bag. Welcome back. Guess what, y'all? We need to get down deep down to how women, wives in particular, how wives deal with breast cancer in our homes. How do we feel? Let's talk about the our emotions during intercourse, if there is intercourse. Let's talk about. We got a call. Go ahead. Your Lane Talk Show. Good afternoon. Hi. How are you? Yes, mom. Congratulations. I'm honored by the fact that you took the opportunity to go and get checked. I can tell you, Airborne Freight and Cargo Services was like, if you do this giveaway, Trish, make sure that we encourage the women on your show to go and get an exam, get tested. So, congratulations. Thank you so much. That's amazing. That's good. All right. So, I'm going to ask our producer to get your phone contact and your name. so that we'll be able to ensure that you get that prize. Okay, a $20 gift certificate courtesy of Airborne Freight and Cargo Services. Thank you so much. Can I get your name? Yolanda Edwards. Beautiful. Thank you so much. God bless you. Congratulations. All right, back to what we were saying. Our self-esteem and emotions and all this other stuff as a wife. Let's talk bedroom talk. Who wants to go first? Tia. Tia. So you got
Who wants to
mastectomy?
go first? Tia.
Tia. You get a mastectomy?
I did.
And
I did.
right.
Oh, I got my
Good.
mastectomy once I was done with my chemo treatments. But as I said, I was still undergoing Herceptin treatments, and I love my body. I'm a very body conscious person, and I didn't have large boobs, even medium boobs, but I'm a small frame person, so what I had was perfect for me. So just having had, as I said, gone from breastfeeding and abruptly stopping, my breast size changed drastically. And then to go into having the mastectomy, I was okay at first, as I stated, because I had small breasts. But as time went on, I became very self-conscious because I gained weight from the Herceptin treatments. And so I was not, what's the word? I wasn't even. My body didn't match. And my husband, being as supportive as he was, would always tell me I was beautiful, but going from, like I said, having a head full of hair to being bald to now having, one breast, I didn't feel beautiful. I went from being in a size 6 to up to a size 12. So I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel like my normal self. I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize who that person was that was looking back at me. As far as intimately, I've always been, like I said, very aware of my body, a sexual person. And so I can't say that it affected my libido too much, because we still were intimate. I obviously couldn't do what I normally would do, but we still shared intimate moments on what one could consider a regular basis. I didn't have any issues in that area. There was no dryness, there was no irritation or anything like that. I was fine. So I didn't
That's
have any
really
issues
good.
there. Just my view of myself. It wasn't initiated. Intimacy was no longer initiated by me,
Right.
because
I
I just
understand.
didn't feel that. Yeah.
What about you, Dr. Abby? Like I am just so excited to hear what she has to say because she's so sorry, Tia. Like she's well known here, as an eye doctor, optometrist. So you only had a little, the educational side of her, and so you don't have a bedroom talk. So I little juicy looking for my popcorn now, so I can throw it in my mouth. Go ahead.
Okay, in my case, when I started chemo, that would have been the last time I saw my period. So I was thrown into menopause after that.
Oh God.
Now, my first day of treatment, I don't know how much intimacy was there, really and truly. Why? Because I had 6 months of chemo treatment. After that, 2 weeks later, I had to have a double mastectomy. 1 month later, I had to have a long wedge resection. After that, I had to do 9 weeks of radiation. And to end the year, I had to have a complete hysterectomy. So I was going
You're
from,
almost done. Ben gone.
yeah, been gone, long time. And my husband was supportive. I mean, he was there. Wife got a, so I really can't even remember if there was that kind of intimacy per se.
Right.
I mean, but you held each other, you touched, held on to each other. That. However, once I started to rebound, of course, I find I have to talk to a lot of women about breasts. I know I lost a cousin because she didn't want to remove her breast because she's in her husband and this and that,
Mm.
and I'm saying, listen, if you want to live, get rid of those two organs. I said, look at me. I've lost four. I tell them I've lost four major ones and I still feel feminine. I think I still look feminine, right?
Of course.
And so on. So it is a major trauma for women because after I lost, now I can't say I didn't mind losing my breast, but I was a 42 double D. Can you imagine? When I'm running, they I got to strap them down. And yeah,
Look at
that
Tony.
sort of thing. So when I was relieved of them, it was a blessing in one sense. However, I'm flat chested, so now clothes fitting you differently. Because okay. My doctor, my oncologist said to me, no more surgeries at this point. Give your body a rest. Because
Right.
I didn't want to do implants. I know some of my sisters, they take them off, put in implants, and I didn't want that. So I had to wear prosthesis for a while. I would go swimming, and the prosthesis come floating out
Oh,
in the water. Okay, so
should I
I was
be
like,
laughing at this? I'm
no,
sorry.
so
Sorry.
I
Hmm.
told my oncologist, she said, well, you're still young. You need to do something, right? You need to do something. So I used to get tired of wearing the prosthesis sometimes. I'd go flat chest, but depending on what you have on,
Right.
you needed to do
Yeah.
something, okay? But if I started to complain, my husband would say to me, listen, wife, you're still alive. That's the important thing, okay?
Absolutely.
That's the important thing. And then having a hysterectomy, no more childbearing years at that point. Of course, after chemo and after all that, I'm thrown into menopause. So now this is a different season of my life. Thank God I wasn't, well, my husband probably said she lying. I was an irritable. Okay, but hearing her talk, I tell people I am dry like conch from my head to my toe. I do not produce any
Yeah.
secretion.
Yeah.
Therefore, when it comes to intimacy, I have to tell my husband, wait now, I got to get the
Get
stuff
stuff.
ready.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
ain't
Yeah.
nothing happening. And he'll
No.
tell me too, because after he say, you ain't used nothing. He
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
But I tell people when I travel now, I have to make sure I have stuff for my hair. I have to have stuff for my skin. I have to have stuff for my eyes. I have to have stuff for my feet. And then I have to have stuff for my intimate parts,
For
because
my
ain't nothing
husband.
happening
Hmm.
if these things aren't in place.
Absolutely.
So it's a
Hmm.
mindset though. It really is a mindset because I talk with some women and they become so enclosed and then some women don't allow their husbands to see their body parts. I have a lot of cuts on me, Trish. Okay. I too had to come to grips with when I stand in the mirror, I have to look at myself. Thank God my husband was accepting and like, wife, these are small things when you look at it. But yes, for a woman, you got to look at your body. You got to look at the fact that you have these scars. Some people, their scars don't look as well, and all these things. And these are constant reminders. But it's an inner self esteem that you really have to pursue and try to get in order to continue.
I put on the wrong lashes today, y'all. So if y'all see one lash gone to my cheek, just know I'm a little teary eyed because I'm thinking about these wonderful husbands, Mr. Baruti and
Mr.
Mr.
Jackson.
Jackson, who've been there and been supporting these wonderful, marvelous women who had to get scars and their breast removed or one breast double
Double
or
mastectomy.
the one breast, and they're still there. They still hanging out. They still supporting and they still holding their hands, and it's just a blessing. And so I just want to take a moment to just to salute the husbands out there who still saying, look, I don't care if your breast don't define you. You are beautiful just the way you are. For those husbands out there, I salute you. I salute you. All right. Now for them no good ones who walk off when they let me behave. Let me
But
behave. But I salute you husbands for sticking in and staying there and being their support. Because the times when they really needed you, you showed up and you love them just like the Bible says, like Christ loved the church. That's what your vow was for. And you stayed and you stuck with them.
Now, intimacy must continue on
I
afterwards. I
had a
remember
moment.
talking to a pastor whose wife went through breast cancer, and he was saying to me, and I was kind of surprised that he opened up to me like this. He said, "Man, I'm highly sex. I'm like I need to eat this, and I'm ready to go." But his wife, who's gone through breast cancer, and now she's in menopause, she, for one, you saw me fanning a little
Yeah, yeah,
earlier,
yeah,
right? I
yeah.
mean, doing it's hot in here, but I
Hint,
probably
hint.
having a little private summer,
Moment.
okay? And so, yes, you're going through all of these body changes. I mean, some women are irritable, some don't touch me, that sort of thing. But
Mhm.
I said to him, I said, now listen, you have to understand too that she's going through,
Do something.
yeah,
Hmm.
okay, that's just what it is.
Hmm.
You going through yours in a different way. However, she needs to understand that intimacy is still vital and important. Okay, it may not
Important.
be
Hmm.
the sex like you were doing it
Hmm.
previously, but
Hmm.
touching or whatever you need to do to satisfy him, do it.
No, we need to know what we need to do to satisfy him. This is the show for it. That's okay.
Whatever
Let's
he
go,
wants or
wives.
require, you do that. That's in
Wives.
the privacy of your own
Right.
home.
So even
Exactly.
if
You have
you may,
obligations as a wife.
right, even if you may say that, okay, I may be dry or I may not have the strength to do as much as, the bouncing around on the chandelier
Oh
type
yeah,
thing as much as
flipping
I,
over and
but
cat
I
guts and
want
all
to
of that
still
stuff.
ensure that you are pleased because as
Hmm.
that's my duty. That's I want to be able to please you as well. So try. I know you're tired, and I mean, you ladies can talk more about this. But even if in states when you are tired, I'm sure that you were still intentional about ensuring that your husband was pleased in some way or form. Now we ain't got to go too detailed because I see y'all getting the little uptight. Like, is she going to ask me what all I have to do outside of? If you want to, that's fine. But I know Dr. Abing say it. But whatever it is that you have to do to ensure that he's pleased and satisfied, go ahead in the confines of your bedroom. Go ahead and then make
Hmm.
sure, okay, I know your body's going through things. And then I also want to tell him there are times that it may be to the point where she's depleted, where absolutely
Hmm.
nothing can happen. And so I'm asking you, husbands, if you're listening, to please understand what she's going through as well. Yeah. Tia, you have anything to say regarding that?
No, just as I stated, I kept in mind that my body was going through something, but his body wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an obligation as a wife. He has needs and I had needs. And if it was vice versa, he would do what he needed to do to make sure I was happy. And so without hindering myself, um, I made sure I did what I had to do to as a wife. As I stated, I didn't have the energy to be that physical being that I was. But if I have to just scoot on over to the side, that's what I'm gonna have to do, and and those times were important because although I may have not felt like it, just having that connection amongst all that was going on that was technically and could have been used to separate us, having that intention to connect on as much as a regular basis as possible is what helped and will help a marriage survive something like that.
Absolutely.
Then,
So, mhm,
then
go
too,
ahead.
as a wife, if you see he's been around and been supportive all day and doing what he has to do, you
Hmm.
better begin to prepare yourself mentally or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
physically
Hmm.
in some way because at the end of the day, he is expecting something.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, unless you're just vomiting and you're sick, and can't do anything. Yeah. And it's open communication, though. That is so important because some days you really
You
ain't
really can't do
feeling
it.
good if
Yeah.
you, depending on what treatment you're doing or whatever.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you who enjoying the show. Tony Williams. Tony laughs so much time in this time. But Tony is like, yeah, 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 tell her.
No,
But it's true. And
yeah.
that's the purpose of the show.
Hmm.
There are times when you could do it. Sometimes you can't do it. If you can't do it, use your hands. If you can't use your hand, I remember the last show, Tony, you missed the last show. They say speak into the mic. All right, tap tap, check 1 2. Do what you got to do at the end of the day to make sure that he's pleased. If you are able and capable at the time to
Yeah.
do so, and we
Yeah.
understand that. Now, what about the other? Because it's more to intimacy, but intimacy is one huge topic that most persons don't really talk about, taboo topics. But there are other things, support for him, and then respect, obviously, for him. And like you use the term irritable, so there are moments where you may feel irritable, times where you feel snappy or whatever have you. How are your emotions as a wife during these times in recovery, etc., for you both?
Um, for me, like I said, the first year in particular, we were just going from one thing to the next to the next.
Were there a lot of
Okay.
arguments?
No, there were times when I was frustrated. Okay. And I may have thought, well, this he ain't meeting my needs like I think he should.
Mhm.
Okay. But here it is, he's having to juggle everything.
Right.
And there are times when I felt my expectations, well, I expect you to be here to me, wiping up my side or my mouth, and it wasn't that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Then the traveling back and forth at times, I had to go ahead or whatever have you, that sort of thing. So there were times when I had to do things by myself. Okay. For some women who are so totally dependent on their husbands and can't function apart from him, that could be a problem and a challenge. Okay. I've met women like that who, I can't do this. I know, because suppose your husband dies or something happened, you need to be able to do things by yourself if you can. But yeah, there were arguments at time. I can't say we went through that 1 year and I didn't tell him off and he didn't get mad with me and he told me off just the same, But I mean, once we got past that, then we know, hey, we got to continue because we're
You
in this
got
for
work
the
to
long
do.
haul. This is a
Exactly.
marathon. But it's communication to a great extent. You really have to be in tune with each other and you have to be honest and open at times because there's fake it.
No. No, what about you, Tia?
So for me, my pastor calls it heated fellowship. So for us, my situation was a bit different. As I stated, I had a 17, 16-year-old and a 16, 17, 18, month old. And my daughter is autistic, the youngest. And she was very connected, very dependent on me. And so a lot of that weight of the household chores and tending to the children and being that support system that a stay-at-home wife can do, my husband also had to do. And then there was, as she was saying, there was a thought process that when I didn't feel well, I would be assisted. And my sister Mary one day told me, "You're not the only one with cancer." Because I was so angry. One day I was hungry and I asked my daughter to make me a turkey burger. And she was just moving slowly, like as if, I wasn't sitting there starving. And furthermore, I rarely had an appetite. So for me to be ready to eat, let me get that burger. So I was laying on the couch and I was just angry. And then my husband just wasn't moving and doing something as well. And I ended up calling Mary and I was like, "I'm so mad, this. And she was like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She said, "You're not the only one with cancer, Tia. It's in your body, but they're dealing with it too. Everything that you usually do, they now have to do." I didn't think about the fact that my daughter almost didn't graduate her senior year because she had missed so many days of school by keeping my youngest. I didn't realize my husband almost lost his contract because he had to change his schedule so many times to take me to my multiple treatments, to take me to the hospital, to take me, wherever I needed to go. I didn't realize that. I just realized what I was going through, what I was feeling. So once that was brought to my attention, um, I wasn't so selfish in my expectations. I had to look at them, as they were going through what I was going through to a certain degree. And so that alleviated some of the arguments.
Mm.
And she brought up a good point in that, yes, as patients, we can wallow in our situations in such a way that we become pathetic at times. You know, we think, okay, the world is now revolving
About
around
you.
us and our needs, and you must cater to me. But no, we really have to be cognizant of the fact that we don't understand what our own family going through
Right.
at that point in time, or others who are close to us, how it's affecting them. So our attitude in the process really is important.
3-2, we're gonna take a break. 3288164, 3288164. We want to give away some more gas vouchers and Lowe's wholesale gift bags. Call the show if you are a breast cancer survivor. 3288164. We want to give these away. I think I have about 4 more bags left and 4 more gift gas vouchers. 3288164. Go right ahead. They're all yours. Awesome. So on this next, when we come back over to the next break, I want to talk a little bit about reconstructive surgery. You know, I have a friend who refuses to put to have any implants or anything. Not yet. Very soon, about 7:25, we're gonna let her in. Just for 5 minutes. It's just who, when, what, where, why. All right. So I have a friend who refused to do reconstructive surgery. She's like, I'm gonna stay just the way it is. I'm gonna keep it just as it is. All right. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that briefly because we're running out of time as well. All right. Your Lane Talk Show. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm calling to let you know that I'm a breast cancer survivor, please.
Woohoo! You're a survivor. You're a survivor. What's your name?
Dion Duncan. Thank you.
Deanne Duncan. Congratulations. God bless you.
Thank
Thought I
you.
sound that bad? Okay. We're gonna get your name. I'm gonna ask the program director to get your phone contact,
Okay.
and we're gonna give you. I'm gonna give you. Which one do you want? You want to get the gas voucher or the gift bag?
The gift bag.
Woohoo!
Yes, thank you.
Huh? Yeah, Facebook. Good. All right, so I'm gonna give you the write down gift bag because I might forget. I'm gonna give you that. Listen, I took a tiny peek into the bag.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know, some of the stuff that they have in there expenses.
Yes,
So when I
do.
was like, "Ooh, they for free, they free!" So I am sure you're going to enjoy the stuff that's in there. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
And if you have a colleague or a friend that wants to call in as well, so that they could win something, go right ahead.
Okay,
Let them
will
call.
do.
All right. Because listen, I got specific instructions to only give away these things on this particular day, on this particular show, just for the survivors and those who may be going
Wow.
through it.
That's
That's how
awesome.
much
Thank
they
you.
love you all. God bless you. Hold on.
Thank
Don't
you.
hang up now. Let me make sure he gets your contacts, okay?
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Blessings. So that's where we at. We're at this point where we have survivors and they could come and they could talk about it and they could share, and they could support one another, and that's a beautiful thing. And I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Someone is saying, thanks, Abby, for the invite. Angela.
Oh,
Creighton
that's my
Green.
girlfriend who went through it after me. She lives in the
Oh.
US.
Wow. Thank you so much for tuning in, Angela. We're just about
I wish she
wrapping
could
up
call.
soon.
Is there a is there a number she could call in for anything?
Is there a number? Well, how she
But
can
them
get
girls
it?
felt too better.
We can
Okay.
find a way for her to get it. That's no problem. No, she's stateside. You said, where exactly is she?
Hmm?
Where is she?
She's in Tampa.
Tampa. Tampa's right there.
Mhm.
Airborne Freight will send the stuff to her.
They can take it
They can
You
give
need
it to
like a
her.
gift basket or something like that. Something they could send.
Mhm. Okay.
These expensive, full of drama shipping companies who trying to cause you catch a case and call Airborne Freight and Cargo Services 3770450. See there? So what they say? Well, I got 102 likes, and they say they can call Airborne Freight right now. For the entire month of October, Airborne Freight and Cargo Services is reminding you to think pink. If you collect your package from us wearing the color pink, you get not 10, but 20% off your shipping fee, and the money you save will go towards the Cancer Society of the Bahamas. Airborne Freight and Cargo Services, 377-0450.
You're listening to Your Lane with Coach Trish Hanna.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lady show, but we got gentlemen, we got men listening and tuning in. I know they want some things, one or two things. They call in sometimes. They say they like the page. They commenting on Facebook. Man, y'all are always welcome. You are always welcome. We salute you. So back to our discussion, we were talking about mastectomies. But one of the questions I wanted to ask, I know Dr. Abby said that she didn't. So I just want to hear your views on reconstructive surgery, Tia, and what if you do have other friends who may be experiencing or have experienced the same thing, what you think their views are on that.
So for me, initially, as I spoke about in my book, I hadn't had reconstruction surgery at the time. I was a uniboober, as they call it. And I decided when we moved back to the States that, I wanted to experience that part and see if that was something that I was okay with, not to just feel like I had to go into reconstruction. But like I said, based on my own personal experience, I was not happy with my physical, how I looked physically. Mm-hmm. So as a veteran, they paid for me to have reconstruction surgery. And it's actually a bad story, but I found who I was given from my oncologist in Georgia, the top surgeon in Georgia, which was in Atlanta, so two hours away from where I reside. And we did the consultation, and what she stated was because I had the mastectomy for so long, I had to get a spacer. And a spacer is something that they place under your skin, under your chest muscle to stretch your skin to a certain size. And so I had that spacer, and I would go in every 2-3 weeks, and she would put more fluid in it. And it was quite painful. And so after that, I scheduled, I think it was 3 or 4 months later, I scheduled for reconstruction surgery. So I was getting a breast lift on the left and an implant to even out with what had been stretched on the right, which is where I had the mastectomy. And so I'm very sensitive. I'm the side effect queen. Literally, I had to take Benadryl drips with every single treatment. So my treatments that was supposed to be 2 to max 4 hours ended up being 8 hours. I was literally in a chair for 8 hours every treatment. So I informed her of this because I learned to advocate for myself, having gone through this cancer journey. And so I informed her and I said, hey, I know that this is an outpatient surgery, but I'm going to need to stay at least a day. You guys need to going to make sure I'm okay before. And she said, well, no, this is normal. I do this all the time. You'll be perfectly fine. And so I said, okay. So we took that 2-hour drive. And my husband and my youngest daughter, we went. I went into the surgery, woke up. They did my vitals. Everything was fine. She told me on the drive home, get out of the car about an hour, walk around, get my blood circulating, get back in the car. So by the time we stopped at the gas station, after the first hour, I noticed my drainage was full. And so I was like, okay, maybe that's normal, and by the time I got that last hour, I had poured it out twice, 3 times by that time. And then I was experiencing some heat, like it felt hot and swollen, and it was just, it was like a balloon, just started filling up. And I attempted to eat something and I couldn't hold it down. So I called her and I said, hey, I think something's wrong. And she said, oh, no, you're probably could, just as some health, some doctors do with Black women. We complain and we're not taken seriously. I said, no, something's wrong. So she said, send me a picture. I sent her the picture, and she called me immediately. She said, you have two choices. You can go to the nearest hospital in Augusta, or you guys are going to have to drive 2 hours to Piedmont, and we're going to have emergency surgery because you're bleeding from the inside. And that was the most excruciating experience I've had thus far. To sit, I felt every bump, I felt every movement, and I had to use the restroom, and I literally prayed walking because my husband could not leave my daughter in the car.
Right.
For me to be able to walk, those rest stops, it's like that long walkway, and I'm so weak. And so I just prayed the whole way, just, Lord, please don't let me pass out. Just let me get to this bathroom. Just let me use the bathroom. I use the bathroom and then wash my hands. Okay, God, just let me get back to this car. I don't know where we're in the middle of nowhere. Just let me get to this hospital. And this was during COVID. So we finally get to the hospital. He gets the wheelchair and he can't come inside. And I get there. She had let them know I was coming and everything. But nobody knew what was going on. So I was just sitting in the emergency room in pain, again, bleeding out. And now I'm hysterical because they don't know what was supposed to happen, what surgery I was speaking of, because there was some type of miscommunication. And they even put me in the hallway, and I was just like, I can't die like this. I've beat cancer, I've done everything, and I just wanted to look normal. And this lady, this lady walked up to me, and she held my hand and she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, I don't, nobody knows what's going on. And she said, God told me to stop here and pray for you. And she prayed for me. And immediately when she was done praying, there was this nurse that was like, said my name. And I'm like, I'm right here. And he's like, I was looking, we've been looking for you. We have to get you into the emergency room like right now. Your doctor is literally waiting. And went into the emergency room. My daughter was on the way there. And I told them, don't put me under until my daughter gets there. Like, don't put me under. I have to make sure I tell my daughter I'm going to be okay. And so I was sitting there, my doctor in front of me, the anesthesiologist was about to, they were like, we can't wait anymore. Like, you're bleeding out. Like, we have to put you under. And my daughter ran in. She had a dog in the little care thing. They were telling her she couldn't come in there with the dog, but she ran in there, and I was like, that's my daughter. And I was like, I'm going to be okay. I'm about to go into surgery. Be here when I get out. Go get your sister. And my doctor was like, I'm so sorry. They missed, my veins are so small. They missed connecting one of my veins. And so I was just bleeding out. And so, so I had the surgery. They fixed everything. And I was in the hospital for 4 days. And then because of whatever stitches they used, I keloided, and it caused some, like, it would make me like flinch. And so I recently had to get steroid shots in my incisions, which was extremely painful, and I was allergic to.
So let me ask you a question though,
incisions
Tia.
are pretty much black.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. So all of this is because of the reconstructive surgery with the implants and everything. Sorry?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I've heard some stories.
Yes.
She had an implant and then a reduction, but I had reconstructive. So I went through it was an interesting situation, but we out of time. So, but I have a cut from one side of my body straight to the next, because they used my tissue fat for rebuilding tissue. Right. Yeah.
Wow. So this is a question. Well, two questions I want to ask you before we end, because I have someone just waiting on us. We're going to talk a little bit about what she's doing. But one of the questions I want to ask is, what's your biggest fear through all of this, being a wife and a mother?
I suppose for anyone, your fear is death, the possibility that you may die. and you're going to leave your loved ones behind. But as I said before, for me as a believer, death is a transition.
Right.
So yes, the link is missing, but we know that one day we will see each other again. Because I've lost so many members to breast cancer and other cancers. We just buried my eldest brother a month ago from brain cancer. And I say the fact that we have hope. We're going to see each other again, even though the link is missing, you know.
How about you, Tia? Your biggest fear as a wife?
Just to not be another family member that my husband lost, and to be able to, with my child being autistic, I'm her advocate. I needed to be there. I was there for my oldest, and I needed to be there, and that was my energy. You know, that was my strive, to push for me to be there. I had to be there, and to remember that, you know, that God told me I was healed, even though, you know, many people would say, you know, well, it can come back and all, and I'm like, no, I never have to go through that again. I'm done. Like, I'm healed, period. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So
If my producer will allow me to ask one more question, what advice can you give to the family and friends of women who are experiencing breast cancer? I think that's a very important question I want to ask before we go.
Trust God and support each other. You have to demonstrate love, commitment. There are going to be hard, rough times. This is not an easy situation, but support each other and trust God in the process.
Wonderful. Tia?
absolutely. Yeah, to just be transparent about what you're feeling. You're human too, as family members, and you know, the person going through it has to also acknowledge that there's some hardships that their family members are experiencing, and understand that you guys are fighting the battle together, and to have that support system, and to have that you know, that faith base to get you through, to drive you to, you know, the finish line.
Amen.
And
And I
to
want
always
to thank
advocate for yourself. That is my whole thing. Advocate for yourself. If you know something's wrong, you know your body, you feel something's wrong, go and push until you get an answer.
Absolutely. That's important. That's really important because doctors tend to, at times, dismiss the things that we say and they think it's quite trivial. But little do they know there's actually something going on in our bodies.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, so as Tia said, just advocate, go push, push, push. And if that doctor isn't hearing you out, go in and find another doctor, a
And you're
second
not going
opinion.
crazy.
All right, you're not going crazy. If you feel something, you know, do something about it. We have so many other giveaways, but guess what? But don't think that this is going to be the end, because on my Facebook account, Your Lane Talk Show, Your Lane Life Coaching, I'm going to continue on with the giveaways. These women are not just breast cancer survivors, but they are also authors. I don't know if Tia have a book there, but I'm sure she'll tell you how to obtain it. But this is Dr. Ebbie's book. Abby's book. Why saying Ebby? Dr. Abby's book, The Ebbie Jackson Story. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful book. I didn't read the entire thing. I'm like in the middle of it. Tony, you take a look at it. And she allowed me the opportunity to do it as a giveaway. And so go on to Your Lane Talk Show, Your Lane Life Coaching page on Facebook, and I'm going to tell you how you can obtain that. And I think we have about two more giveaways, because on our breaks we had a few persons call in for the gift voucher and the um, giveaway from Lowe's. Tia, how can we get your book?
Amazon.com. My book is entitled Transparency Through the Storm. And I reiterate to people that if you have a family member or you yourself are going through a storm, it's about my story as far as cancer, but it's just about realizing when you go through any storm that, you know, you have God, you have, you know, family members and friends that'll get you through there, and being transparent about what you're going through will help you get to the next level in life.
Absolutely. Listen, so real quick, I just want to do a talk to the audience moment real quick. The first thing that I want to say is that cancer is not a life sentence, ladies. Cancer is not a life sentence. You have means of overcoming and defeating it. Your breast does not define you for those who may have to get a mastectomy. Your hair does not define you for moments when you have to, when your hair is gone during those moments when you have chemo and all these other things. They can grow back. Your hair can grow back. There weave all around the place you can get until then if you feel as if you want to have hair there you could pay for hair. That's small things. The fact that you have life, that's more important, or the most important thing right now. And then I want to just encourage you to continue on with, if you're not doing so, affirmations. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, hey, I have something that the world needs. In fact, repeat after me, I have something that the world needs. I choose to accept myself just the way I am.
I have something that
I am beautiful. I will live and not die. I am more than a conqueror. Greater is he that is within me than he that is in the world. This and so many other things that you can tell yourself every morning when you wake up. Yes, there are going to be times when you feel as if you're deflated, you're defeated, you're discouraged, but you have life, you have breath. There are many other people who did not wake up. Okay, you may have you up, but you may have said, okay, well, I have a little ailment. Okay, there are many others who can't even speak. All right. So please just try to encourage yourself. And my other point is this: we talk about eating healthy, we talk about exercise, but what about forgiveness? Forgiveness plays a vital role and it can wreak havoc in our bodies. If you have things within you, there's somebody right now that you can think of in this very moment, in this very second, that you have not forgiven. That husband who left you, that child who spoke about you so bad or spoke to you so bad, or that neighbor, that friend who was supposed to stay with you by your side and she left or she spoke about you. Whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that someone has done to you, let it go. And you're letting it go, not for them, but for you, for your body, for your health. Okay? Exchange your hurt, your broken heart, exchange your rejection, exchange the abandonment that you're feeling with the peace of God. Let him give you his peace and you give him your hurt. All right. John 14:27 says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, that I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. All right. And if you need help with overcoming forgiveness, or if you want to experience fulfillment in your life, I can help you. You can go to www.yourlanelifecoaching.com. Yes, I'm a life coach. And I'll be able to, if you can make an appointment, I'll give you a free consultation and we can go ahead and make an appointment for you to help you in those areas. All right. Is Nayoka still there? Is she on? No. Okay. So, she's having problems. Okay. She's having problems, but she is having an event. Let me see if I can real quick read what she's doing. It's called I Want to Survive. This is a workshop for women and for persons who want to attend. If you're struggling with navigating through challenges, your mind is going in circles, it's hard to process things. If you've lost a loved one and it's been difficult to push through the sadness, you feel stuck and lost, you've got a handle on some things but need help processing other aspects of your life. If you need help thriving, you don't just want to exist, you want to live. You're on the edge and need help, a helping hand to get back, then this particular workshop, I Will Survive workshop, is for you. It's going to be this Saturday, November 5th, and it's going to be held at Fox Hill Community Center from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The tickets are $30. We want you to be as comfortable, she said, as possible, and they're going to give you light breakfast and hot lunch included. When I saw this particular flyer on Facebook, I had to stop because these are the type of things that I encourage, I pull for, I try to support as much as I can. So I asked her for 4 tickets. If you know someone that wants to, or if you yourself would like to come and support this I Will Survive workshop, if everything I said sounded like something that you're struggling with, just go to my well, not my website, go to Facebook, Your Lane Life Coaching, message me, and the ticket will be yours. All right. You can also WhatsApp 376-8689 if you want the I Will Survive workshop. 376-8689. All right. So I want to thank you once again, ladies, for being a part of this show. God bless you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your transparency. I know that you've blessed so many people, and may you continue on in your journey being a blessing to other women as you go along the way. So today's show is brought to you by Airborne Freight and Cargo Services, John's Shoe Store and Accessories, Family Medicine Center, Lowe's Wholesale, Girls Will Be Girls, Your Lane Life Coaching, Carlia Aleshante, Le Chic Boutique, located in Gary's Plaza, Robinson Road, and Keto Cafe by Healthy Concepts. Next week's show is entitled Life of a Law Enforcement Officer's Wife. Dun, dun, dun. Tony could be here for this one because it could be juicy. This could be juicy, Tony. Oh my God. In this show, we will have 3 women that will share the good, the bad, and the ugly of being a wife of a Royal Bahamas Police Force officer, Royal Defense Force officer, and the Bahamas Department of Corrections officer. The show is to encourage other wives and soon to be wives that having husbands in this area is okay. This role can be a bit challenging at times, though. How do I know? Find out next week. Thank you to my producer, Tony, for your patience, and thank you to my Facebook audience and our first-time listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you were blessed. I hope that you were encouraged, empowered, and educated today on this show. Until next time, have a blessed evening, everyone.
Wonderful. Good stuff.
Okay, so we're still on Facebook. I want to thank my Facebook audience for tuning in with us and to us today. Just stay tuned because I'm gonna start posting with all items that we're giving away. We have to give away the Ebbie Jackson. Is there a way that you want to give this book? This is so sentimental to you. Is there a way that you want to give this book away?
They can come to the office or
To your office.
Yeah.
Or my office.
Your office.
My
however,
office.
Yeah.
Just we're gonna have a cancer survivor to come into the Nassau Guardian tomorrow, right? And state that you are a survivor. All right. And then this book will be yours. All right. That's it. Simple as that. Simple as that. And then there are going to be some opportunities on the Facebook where you have an opportunity to win some of the giveaways, the vouchers that we have to offer too. So thank you, Tia, once again. Thank you, Dr. Abby. God bless you and may you live to see many, 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 many more years.
Amen.
All right.
Yes,
Blessings
yes.
to you.
Thank you.
Bye,
God
Tia.
bless you.
And it's a pleasure meeting you on social
Bye.
media.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.